Let's quickly go now to the presidential spokesperson, Vincent Magwenya, who is outlining the president's weekly agenda.
On the 16th of January, 12th of April, 25th of May, 6th of June, the president held engagements with the business community. And in those engagements, energy was top of the agenda beginning of this year. In April, the president was leading the discussions on logistics and resolving some of the challenges we're facing around our ports. By the 25th of May, the work streams were being established, and those have now been finalized, as I've reported earlier. Around that same period, the president was engaging organized labor. 16th of January on energy, 8th of Feb, 12th of April on logistics. With respect to communities, community representatives and members of civil society were engaged in January on issues around energy. Even religious leaders were consulted and engaged on issues around energy. And that meeting was on the 17th of January. There's been extensive engagements with traditional leaders, starting at the beginning of the year on energy, the opening of the National House of Traditional and Khoisan leaders, as well as the dialogue that followed on the 17th of March. The president hosted the Presidential Health Summit in May. And again in January, the president held a meeting with political parties on energy. The president has been deeply involved and quite central in promoting South Africa's international interest. If you take the period from the 28th of Feb to the 20th of June, the president has met the following heads of states, has met heads of state and government from the following countries: Uganda, Lesotho, Tanzania, Belgium, Namibia, Finland, Bulgaria, Singapore, Lesotho again, Portugal, Netherlands, and Denmark. And I've not included the telephone calls to BRICS member states on the summit, as well as on bilateral relations. As you know, South Africa is a member of the SADC Troika, which held meetings at the end of January, as well as on the 8th of May. On the 18th of Feb, the president was in Addis Ababa attending the African Union Summit. On the 6th of May, he was in Burundi attending the 11th high-level summit of the Regional Oversight Mechanism of the signatories countries of the Peace, Security and Cooperation Framework for the DRC and the region. Recently, the president attended the inauguration of President Tinubu in Nigeria as a way of reinforcing the bilateral relations with that important West African economy. He was recently in Geneva for the ILO World of Work Summit. Took a long train journey to Kiev in Ukraine as part of the African Peace Mission, which immediately was followed by a trip to St. Petersburg in Russia, still as part of that African Peace Mission. Recently attended the Global Financing Summit on the 22nd of June in Paris. Various engagements with Parliament in line with the President's constitutional commitments. SONA, obviously, the SONA debate reply. The President never misses National Assembly questions and answer sessions, even with the NCOP. And those, so far, between January and now, the President has attended to 2 of National Assembly question sessions. And that also includes the budget vote and the budget vote debate. And just lastly, to give an update on the implementation of some of the SONA commitments, which again is a process the President is quite hands-on with and is driving. He announced the implementation of changes to the Bounce Back loan scheme to encourage greater rooftop solar use. Those changes and that implementation is underway. The Energy Bounce Back Loan Guarantee Scheme provides financing to small businesses for rooftop solar. He has appointed Dr. Ramaphosa as Minister in the Presidency for Electricity. He announced the finalization of measures to address Eskom's debt burden so that it can make necessary investments in maintenance and transmission. Eskom has received that debt relief of 254 billion rands, subject to strict conditions, which were outlined by the National Treasury in that announcement. The President announced the gazetting and implementation of the disaster regulations to support businesses affected by load shedding and accelerate energy projects. That was also delivered on. I've mentioned the investment conference, which exceeded its 5-year target of 1.2 trillion rands. The implementation of the work visa review to attract more skills, streamline application processes, and encourage startups. The Department of Home Affairs has begun the implementation of the work visa reforms. The introduction of incentives to encourage businesses and households to install rooftop solar panels. That was also confirmed from the 1st of March. Individuals who install rooftop solar panels will be able to claim a tax rebate. We've spoken about the presidential employment stimulus. The National Youth Service is currently sitting with over 45,000 participants. And the President had committed to a recruitment of further 36,000 participants. He announced the recruitment of 50,000 participants for the next phase of the Social Employment Fund. We are now sitting at over 51,000 participants that have been employed by 28 implementing partners in the current phase of the Social Employment Fund. The President announced the recruitment of the remaining 10,000 young people for the digitization of Home Affairs paper records. That recruitment was completed in February. As per the announcement to reduce red tape in priority areas, including mining rights, tourism, transport operator licenses, visas and work permits, early childhood development and the informal sector, that implementation of reforms is underway. The amendments to the Electricity Regulation Bill have been submitted to Parliament as per that announcement to transform the energy sector and establish a competitive electricity market. The President also announced the complete construction of safe sanitation in the remaining 900 schools. We are now sitting at nearly 80% of unsafe toilets that have been replaced. The remaining 727 schools are scheduled for completion in 2023-24. The completion of construction on the Hazelmere Dam has been completed. National Treasury has allocated 36 billion rands to fund the SRD grant until March 31, 2024. That follows the commitment that the President made to extend the social relief of distress grant to the end of March 2024. The allocation of more funding to the South African Police Service, National Prosecuting Authority, and Special Investigating Unit, that allocation has been done to the tune of 14 billion rands over